So let's see what's coming up for Virgo. Looks like at the beginning of the month, you have some financial things going on. King of Coins is the leader of the financial, any financial enterprise. So he's usually depicted as a business owner or someone who controls or manages money. He's also someone who is relied upon to make financial decisions, and he's in the upright position. So if you have been thinking about going into business for yourself, Virgo, December might be a good time for you to do that. It looks like, you know, you're going to be making some good, sound financial decisions at the opening of December. He is the king of resources, the king of money, the king of physical, anything that's physical that surrounds you. So assets, lifestyle. It's, you know, basically telling me that you've got your budget set straight for December, Virgo. If you have been thinking about going on and working for yourself or opening a new business, King of Coins is a card that features that, or that it's a good sign for that. It's a card that supports that. You can see that through his financial decisions, he brings the reap of the bounty to him. He's got these grapes in full harvest from his good, wise financial decisions. So it's good management of assets. Also at the beginning of the month, there may be a sense in which you're feeling like you may be feeling a little isolated, or just, you know, maybe that you're not so much in a holiday mood. This is Hermit in reverse, which is usually the low side of Hermit. So Hermit in the upright position, it can mean, you know, someone who, it's basically a disciplinarian card. Someone who, or actually a disciple card is a better word. Someone who's a disciple, an ascetic, I should say, who is willing to strip themselves bare to look at the truth, and separate themselves off from the rest of society. In the highest sense of the word, the hermit is someone who is the guru, or someone who really throws off all the cares of the world to really look at the truth and shine it forth for humanity. However, in the reverse position, as it is in this reading, it sometimes takes on the lower side of Hermit, which is isolation, feeling cut off, feeling, you know, like that you're just doing things on your own, feeling like when I see him holding up his lamp, he's sort of saying like, where is everyone else? Why am I all by myself? Why am I left out in the cold? So that may be a sense that you have in the beginning of December, Virgo, and there is a survivor card showing up for you. So it makes me wonder if you've been through something at the beginning of December where you feel like you have to defend your space, or you are the survivor. Hermit has a little bit of that feeling to it too, where he is on his own. So, you know, this Nine of Wands is a card of surviving, defending one's space, falling down and getting back up. I often call this my Cool Hand Luke card because he keeps getting knocked down but keeps getting back up. And so what happens in this card is that even if you're a little bit battle-worn or a little battle-scarred, it shows that you still have the strength to survive. You make it through it, even though you've got a lot of things knocking you down. Be careful with this card when it shows up that you're not overly paranoid or that you're not overly defensive. Sometimes that can show up with Nine of Wands energy. But this tells me that whatever it has been through, you're a survivor. And it actually shows me that you have a new renewal in your optimism, in your vitality. Page of Rods is a willingness to experience the vital spirit. It's sort of like, I basically translate this card as enthusiasm, because it's the fire of the wands, and it's page, which represents openness, which represents trying things out, which means being willing, essentially. So that's the opening of December for you, Virgo. And then the middle of the month, it's actually similar to one of the other readings that we've done. Some of these three cards, anyway, are showing up. I saw those in another sign. This is Three of Coins. So this is working on joint projects. This is building something that can be financially rewarding. 3 is also a very creative number, so this can be creative finance. And it can also mean money from multiple sources of income. So in line here with the King of Coins as the business owner, financial advisor, someone who makes good decisions, someone who manages the money, and 3 of Coins, that tells me that, maybe you have multiple investments in December that are going to pan out for you. Or maybe you have 3 projects that you're working on where money's going to come from. Or maybe you have, 3 different ways of generating income that you've thought about this as the King of Coins at the beginning of the month, and then you start doing it at the middle of the month. I also show, too, in the middle of the month, be careful about not overthinking things or not getting stressed out, not being anxious about things. 9 of Swords can be over worry. And swords are the mental element, so these all represent individual thoughts or ways of thinking about things. And what it tells me with 9 of Swords is even though you may have some tension, some anxiety, feeling stuck, feeling wound up, try to focus on just the thoughts that are causing you that, and try not to create more mental distress for yourself, more stress in general by overthinking things and over worrying things, especially if it comes to expressing something that's on your heart. This is Knight of Cups, and this is usually a message of the heart. This is the messenger of the heart. If you see his helmet, he's wearing the helmet of Mercury, who is also the god of messages, messages in the Greek tradition. We know him as Hermes. Also, you may recognize that name. You see him in the iconography of some floral deliveries, or, we just see him as the messenger. And because he's holding a cup, cups represent heart energy. So he's a messenger of the heart. This is a card of wearing your heart on your sleeve, being an idealist, being a romantic, wanting to convey a message from the heart. But right next to this 9 of Swords, it tells me be careful of not overthinking it. Be careful that you don't worry and stress about it so much, or stress about conveying the message, that you end up not doing anything at all. And that's what 2 of Swords is. 2 of Swords is being in a dilemma, not being able to choose between 2 ideas. That's each of the swords. And not making a choice, and therefore just blindfolding yourself and checking out and saying, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to just stay static. I'm just going to become immovable. I'm going to, pretend like nothing else is happening, and nothing else will happen. So no action is taken. So that's my message for you in the middle of the month, Virgo, is be careful not to overthink something. If you have a message from your heart that you want to convey it. Find a way to convey it. Find a way to not overthink it, because otherwise you're just going to be stuck and not make any decisions, not make any moves. You're going to just kind of check out, even though you may want to take action on one of those thoughts and ideas. The way out of this card, just to let you know, is to put down one of the swords and just make a decision. Whether it's the right one or the wrong one, you just take action, and that breaks you out of 2 of Swords energy. So if you find yourself overthinking something in the middle of the month, especially related to a message, a heart message, or a message on your heart that you want to communicate, just take action and choose something, and that will avoid being stuck in 2 of Swords energy, which is stasis, which is immobilization. It's feeling stuck, checking out, blind, willfully blind is how I've heard this card translated. And then at the end of the month, you have this renewed vitality, this new beginning. This card is like a new spring. It actually depicts a oak swatch, or what do you call that? A switch. A piece of an oak branch that is flowering. It's new life. It's an ace, so it's a new beginning. I really like it in line with this King of Coins and 3 of Coins, because that has to do with managing money well, creative finance, or bringing money in from multiple sources, and therefore maybe seeing feeling refreshed and renewed, seeing things in a new way, having a new life, having, it's like the dawning of a new day. And it's also like feeling energized, feeling like you can run a race. If towards the end of the month you have some sort of difficult cards, but this should give you enough impetus, enough motivation, enough liveliness to get you through the rest of that. And you also have this Page of Wands, so there's a certain amount of optimism, of just feeling fresh and alive, because wands represent fire, they represent the vital element, they represent life and life force, vitality. So you're showing that at the corners of December here. Page of Cups is in reverse here, but Page of Cups in the upright position, just like Knight of Cups or Page of Wands. Knight of Cups is a message of the heart, and Page of Wands is willingness and optimism. So Page of Cups is a willingness of the heart. So sometimes I translate this card as infatuation, or being willing to look at what your heart wants, being willing to consider what makes your heart leap. Sometimes it's passion, but it's a new, young passion. Sometimes this card can be considered puppy love. In the reverse position, what it tells me is that, is there a way that you are not acknowledging what it is that makes your heart leap? What makes you feel fresh and young and new? This is a card of freshness. This is a card of youth. So Page of Cups can be male or female. Often a water sign, so Cancer, maybe featured Pisces or Scorpio, but it's in the reverse position, so you may be having difficulty with a young person who's a water sign, or it tells me that you may be just not acknowledging what it is that your heart really wants. Because Page of Cups can sometimes be our younger self and our young, the desires of our heart in a youthful way. So what is it that is blocking that? What is that is putting that in shadow, in fear, or in delay? Is there a way in which you're holding back the desires of your true young heart? Like you might be thinking, oh, that's just frivolous. I want to do this, but that's something like a teenager would do. Allow yourself to consider that, because Page of Hearts is showing up for you, and just because it's in the reverse position means that it's in delay or in suppression. See if you can consider what, this new freshness, this new vitality, what are the desires on your heart? This card, Four of Coins, is about holding on to money that you have, maintaining the status quo. Four of Coins hold on to everything that they have and wants to just keep things just like they are, just to make sure nothing moves. So he's holding on, like in the Rider-Waite, he's holding on with all hands and feet to all the coins, and therefore is stuck, kind of like Two of Swords here. This is more mentally stuck, and this is more about being stuck in the physical world, or in relation to possessions. It's like, I want to keep everything I've got. I don't want anything to change. I'm fearful about making ends meet. Therefore, I'm just going to hold on. So be careful. And one thing I point out in this card is that he's blocking his heart by holding on to all of his money. Both of these cards, honestly, in the reverse position, are about blocking your heart. Page of Cups wants to show up. Page of Cups wants to say, this is what's on your heart. And Four of Coins says, no, I'm blocking my heart with my money. I want to hold on to it. I don't want anything to change. I don't want anyone to come in, anyone to go out. So towards the end of the month, I'm going to say to you, Virgo, be careful of not blocking your heart, both with what you want and both in terms of fear of upsetting your apple cart financially. Try to warm your heart and listen to it towards the end of the month. We have a full moon in Cancer on December 25th. And let's see, that's Cancer. That is your house of Cancer, Leo, Virgo. So that's going to be, looks like that's happening in your 10th house. I'm going to have to check it. I'll put it down in the notes of which house it's in. But there is a full moon in Cancer on December 25th. Allow your heart to be open. Listen to the messages from your heart, and don't be worried about upsetting your apple cart. You're just blocking your heart if you're too concerned with money. And there is also a way in which Eight of Swords plays in here. Now, Eight of Swords this is towards the end of the month of December, so I'm getting right before the New Year for you, probably after Christmas, but between Christmas and the New Year. Eight of Swords is victim mentality. So be careful of not falling into victim mentality towards the end of the month. In this card, swords represent, again, like I've said, ideas or thoughts, and she's surrounded by them. But she's actually free to walk through them. She's actually free to cut the binds on one of the swords and rip off her blindfold and walk away. But because she believes that she's a victim, she stays there, and she doesn't believe in her own power. This is really a card of powerlessness. So one of the things I'm going to ask you, Virgo, is to be careful about this Two of Swords. I've called that Two of Wands twice now. It's funny. It might be because this is Wands. But Two of Swords and Eight of Swords here in reverse. Be careful of feeling victimized or powerless. You can see in both these cards there's a blindfold on the figure. So this tells me that there's something you don't want to look at, or that you're feeling like you're being victimized, you're feeling like you are the prisoner, or that somehow you don't have any power in the situation. I want you to challenge that thought that may come up for you by taking action. Both in this card, she puts down one sword, takes action, and walks away. In this card, by realizing her own power, she can take action and actually walk out of that system of thinking that is keeping her confined. And the way you can do that is by remembering your own Page of Wands, which is optimism, vitality, willingness. This is a card of willing to take action, willing to consider life, willing to consider life force, willing to consider your own power. So that's a theme that's lining up for you, Virgo. So I want you to consider that, especially if you're feeling powerless or victimized. And do listen to the messages from your heart, especially towards the end of the month. So we also have a new moon coming up in December 11th. And that new moon is happening in Sagittarius, which is, let's see, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sag. That's in your 4th house of home. So some of you may be going into a new home. That is, new moons are times of new beginnings, new initiations, planting seeds, setting intentions, beginning something new. So 4th house is typically nurturing. It has to do with the home. It's Cancer in its standard placement. So all things having to do with home, having to do with nurturing, sometimes having to do with being sentimental, thinking about the past. But you have a new moon in Cancer, so it's possible some of you could have a child during that time if that's something that you're interested in, or plan or set intentions for that. Or, like I said, a new home, new living situation, or just a new environment that you want to surround yourself in. So that's all Cancer type stuff, but it's really 4th house, but it's in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is a very optimistic, happy-go-lucky, generous sign, and there's a new moon in that sign coming up for you in your 4th house, Virgo. So that's my reading for you. If you have any questions, feel free to put them below in the comments, and I love responding to those. Also, feel free to like, share, or subscribe.